I've been told more times than I can even count over the years that when it's time for me to buy something, I can research it to death. And I can't debate that. I do a lot of research before I spend our hard-earned money. But by doing so, I don't make too many mistakes when it is time to make that purchase. Take, for example, this cantilever umbrella. I researched for weeks to try and figure out what would suit us best, and this purple leaf cantilever umbrella is what I chose. But now, after getting the umbrella, putting it together, and using it for the last 2 or 3 weeks, pretty much every single day, I realized looking back that some of the things we experienced during the assembly process and during our use, I didn't really see talked about on the videos that I watched, even though they were all great videos. So I thought I'd put together this video and share some of those things with you, so stick around to the end to see everything. Before I really get started, so this is a purple leaf cantilever umbrella. It's 9 by 12. And what I want to do is just start right from the bottom. Now let's just start right at the base of this umbrella and start talking about it. So when you purchase this umbrella, it comes with a base that you can use. Now it's not a very heavyweight base, as you can tell, and it assembles like this. It simply goes together, and then when you put the umbrella on it, I'll show you in just a second, there's a piece that bolts right here in these 4 holes. Now if you're going to anchor this onto a concrete patio or maybe to a wooden deck, this is probably great. I have seen people just take sandbags and toss it over these arms. I've also seen people take concrete pavers and lay it on these edges and call it good. Well, from our experience so far, it's not what I would suggest unless like I said, you're going to put it on concrete. Those concrete pavers and the sandbags are going to give you some pretty good weight, but not enough to stop this from toppling over in a good gust of wind. Now let me show you what we decided to go with. So we opted to go with this cantilever umbrella base. It has the built-in cross members already. You can fill it with water or sand. If you fill it with water, it brings the weight of the base up to 220 pounds. If you fill it with sand, it takes it to 306 pounds, I guess. And I'm told if you fill it with a combination of water and sand, you can even get the weight up even higher. Now here's something that some of you will really love. It's also fully recyclable. Let me stop real quick and just say that we are not associated with the Purple Leaf Umbrella Company or the manufacturer of this umbrella base at all. We bought this through Amazon. Now what we will do is in the description below, we will provide a link to the base and a link to the umbrella. And if you happen to click on those links to make a purchase of either one of these, we will get a small kickback, but it's not very much at all. Anyway, I want to make sure you are aware of that. Let's carry on. Okay, let's get started on the assembly. So to begin with, even though I didn't, I would highly recommend that you put some water in this base before you start. It'll come in handy down the road, and you'll see that in the video in just a little bit. But put some water in this base, give it a little bit of weight, you'll thank me as you go along. Then what you're going to do is, this is actually 2 pieces. You see this bottom piece right here? This will bolt into the umbrella base. Now all the nuts and bolts and wrenches that you need for the assembly come in the unit, so no problem whatsoever. You stick this on here, bolt it down with 4 bolts, it's good to go. I decided to put the foot lever in line with these 2 braces. I just thought aesthetically it looked pretty good. You can do what you want to. Then after you have this in place, all tightened down, there's a short shank you'll see. And you're going to set that right on top of this piece you just installed, and 4 more bolts will hold that in place. Now this is a short shank. It only goes up to about here, then there's a hole on this side. Then once you put that in place, and then you will slide the umbrella over that, and then you will hold the umbrella sleeve in place with this small bolt. You'll see that in the video. Okay, so the first tip that I didn't see really talked about on other videos was putting some weight inside this umbrella base before you started assembling. That was tip number 1. Now just a second ago I told you that this sleeve comes up to about here, this shaft, and you slide this umbrella over the top of it. Here is another great tip. I didn't know this. In fact, when I started putting this together and I took the umbrella and I slid it over that shank, I was confused. I tried to open the umbrella, it wasn't going up very high, it wasn't opening up all the way. I couldn't figure out what the heck I'd done wrong. I went back and read the instructions again. It didn't say anything about this in the instructions, but let me show you something. All right, take a look. See this? This is a bolt that goes clean through the shaft right here. Right now we have caps on it for a nice finished look. But when you get this, that piece right there from the top is slid down inside this shaft. So that top piece is sitting right here. Now when I put this together, I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't get it to open up very high. I couldn't get it to go straight. I was really puzzled what was going on. But what you need to do while it's still on the ground, do yourself a favor. While it's still on the ground, slide that up. Put that bolt in place before you ever slide it down over the shank, and you will thank me. All right, now I'm going to pick the umbrella up and slide it on that short shank we put on there. Now it's a little awkward, but not too bad. There you go. Now there's that piece I told you about that holds the umbrella in place. Now did you notice how that started to tip? That's because it had no water in it. Then here's how you put the handle on. That's the crank. It just pops in place. Not a big deal. And then the frustration starts. So watch this. Here we go. I start to crank it up. I take that little plastic piece up on top first. Then I started cranking it up. It won't open. I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. Now keep in mind, I was still on my first cup of coffee this day, so that's my only excuse. I hadn't enough coffee yet. But look at that. I'm trying to figure out what in the world. It's not going up high enough. I couldn't figure it out. Something was amiss. Because if you do it like I did and put it together without that being slid up, I had to get a little ladder out. I had to get up on the ladder. I tried to slide that thing up. And there's some weight to it when you have the umbrella on it. So trying to slide it up, trying to put the bolt through it, and being on the ladder was just kind of awkward. It wasn't impossible, obviously, but you don't want to put yourself through that if you don't have to. Then once you get it to where you can open up the umbrella and get underneath there, you'll find some styrofoam pieces that are strategically placed around the framework to protect it during shipping. All you need to do is a little snip job and they come right off. Then you're going to find 4 bars that slip into place. It's pretty obvious. It's in the bars that go out to the corners. You slip those bars into place, no big deal. You go out to the corners, there's a nice zipper. You just unzip it, you can put those bars inside there. You get to the last one, it's going to be a little tight because the umbrella is stretched out, but you can do it. Just kind of stretch it out, put that in place, zip it up, and you're good to go. So here's a little tip for you, something to watch out for. So we opted to put water in the umbrella base, as I mentioned, so that should be 220 pounds. And I was curious what it would act like in the wind. Now in the afternoons here, 3, 4 o'clock, we always get a nice breeze come through. Not a howling wind, but a good sturdy breeze. So I would come out in the afternoons and I put the video machine on it. I try to get some video of it kind of bouncing around. I know it's hard to say exactly what the mile per hour the wind was, but it was strong enough that it made me put the awnings in on the coach. So if you're RVers, you might get an idea of that. So it was blowing pretty good. But the umbrella did a great job of just kind of dancing in the wind. Nothing really made me too concerned. But wouldn't you know it, one time I had the umbrella out. It was flat instead of angled like it is now. I was inside the casita doing something. All of a sudden I heard my name yelled. I ran outside, and what happened? I guess the wind picked up just right and it switched. So I guess the wind came from this direction, caught the umbrella, and when I came out, Diane sat right here, and this umbrella was completely on its side. Now it can only go so far. Luckily it tilted completely straight forward, so it landed on the straight edge. Nothing bent, nothing scratched, no issues whatsoever. So it held up really well, and Diane was sitting here pretty much under the corner of the umbrella. So I came over, tilted it back up. We had a good chuckle and was upset that I didn't have the camera going during that. But just know that even though this is 220 pounds, when the umbrella is folded up and straight down, it is very, very sturdy. And when the umbrella is angled down and a lot more weight put out this direction, it can still fall over on windy days. So just pay attention to that. It's a safety thing. Again, we sat through some pretty good breezy afternoons with no issues whatsoever. We had some chuckles how much it just kind of danced around in the wind. Now, a few things I really like about this umbrella. So, for example, right now the sun's kind of behind me, and having it at an angle like this creates a larger area of shade. But as the sun rises in the sky, I can move this up. There's a second location, there's a third, and there's a fourth and now it's straight and even, so when the sun's high in the sky, you get the most shade. That's a nice feature. Another thing I like is just by pressing your foot on that lever, you can rotate the umbrella 360 degrees. So for example, for me, in the afternoons when I want to barbecue, the sun's over here, I can create a lot of shade over my barbecue and stay nice and cool. And I should mention also, as you move this around, it has different positions that it will lock. There it locked in a spot. There it locked in a spot. Gives you an idea, you know what I mean. There you go. It does that all the way around so you can lock it wherever you want to. Another thing that we love about this umbrella is we love quality. And once you get this and you put it together, you start admiring the fit and finish of this, I'm sure you'll appreciate it too. But it's all powder coated. Everything is finished very nicely. And it's sturdy. Everything is sturdy. There's nothing when you walk around and touch this and feel it and play with it during the assembly that you think cheap. Nothing on here feels cheap. Another feature we like about this umbrella is the tiered top. It allows airflow to pass through, helps keep the umbrella more stable. And it comes in a number of colors to match most any decor. Navy blue like this, it comes in a burgundy, it comes in a beige, I think there's a green possibly, maybe a couple other colors too that I can't remember off the top of my head, but a lot of colors to choose from. And you're not restricted to the size we have here. You can get round ones, you can get bigger rectangles, smaller rectangle, number of options to choose from. So as I mentioned, we're not affiliated with the Purple Leaf umbrella company whatsoever or the manufacturer of that umbrella base. But if you find yourself wanting one of these and you go below in the description and click on the link to Amazon and make that purchase, you will not pay a penny more by doing that to make your purchase, but we do get a small kickback as I mentioned before, and we would appreciate that. Just give it a thought. Or if you want to go to our Amazon store down below, just click on that and search for anything in Amazon. You make a purchase, we do get a small kickback, and that helps our channel. And hey, as always, if you enjoyed this video at all, if you got any good out of it at all, consider hitting that subscribe button down below, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and as always, have a great day. We'll see you in the next video.